So when I finally left, I was married. And I'm still married. So, um, but when I first left, my wife was not on the same page as me about the organization. Like she wanted to stay in and didn't agree with me. So that's kind of the one person in a witness's life who they're not mandated to shun. Like she wasn't expected to shun me because we're married. Um, but there was pressure for her to divorce me. Like there was pressure within the group for her to leave me for because I was like a spiritual danger. My wife is a very strong and strong-headed person, and was not having any of that. She kind of went on her own journey and has since stopped associating for her own reasons, different from mine. And so now we're on the same page and we're on this journey together. But when I first left, yes, it was just me, and yeah, like I was part of a really big family that I
Mhm.
still love. Love my family. My mom, my dad, my sister, who had recently had a baby, so I was an uncle. I've got this baby nephew that's so cute. Um, I haven't talked to my sister in 2 or 3 years. And the next time I see my nephew, like he won't recognize me because he won't have memories of me. Like that's how strict the shunning is. Um, and so it really was like completely rebooting my life at the age of 30. Like I completely blew up everything. And it was definitely really scary because you are intentionally not allowed to, or I should say, strongly discouraged from making connections outside of the group. So, like, if your coworkers are going out for drinks after work, you're not supposed to go because that's like being too close to worldly people outside the group. And, just the worldliness is this contagion that it could infect you and then you might need to be quarantined. So you just are supposed to really stay close to the group. Like it's very insular, right? And so I didn't have anybody else outside the group really. Um, Aside from people that I made contact with over the internet, like my best friend from high school, like I reconnected with, well, not just from high school, like he was my friend all throughout school, best friends. And he knew I was a witness, but that had always kind of kept our friendship at a distance.
Mhm.
And so he was the first person I talked to, so he was helpful. Um, and I've since had um, a couple members of my family also like wake up is the term that we would use. Like they've realized that it's a cult, and so now like they're super supportive of Christina, my wife, and I. So that's really great. But yeah, still like my direct family. Yeah, no contact.
Yeah, I guess I'd love to hear your thoughts on like the first days, weeks, and months. What that was like officially being out of it.
It was pretty rough. It was rough for a couple reasons. So like a just macro thing that's happening throughout my entire life as a witness and as a person is that I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was young. So I just always had chronic health issues and would be sick off and on. It's a digestive disorder. Like it can affect anywhere in your digestive system. And for me, it affected my colon. And so I would have ups and downs. And as I started questioning, it made my symptoms worse. But I started to lose a lot of blood actually. Like it was a really big problem. And Jehovah's Witnesses also famously don't allow people to get blood transfusions. You must refuse blood transfusions. And ironically enough, like the week before it was announced that I was disfellowshipped, I needed a blood transfusion to save my life. Like I was in the hospital in the ICU and had been taken by the squad. Like my wife found me like passed out in the bathroom, right? And while I'm in the hospital, my family doesn't visit. I don't get a text from like my dad at all because they know that I'm an apostate and I'm going to be announced as being disfellowshipped, right? So that also caused a lot of like anger to an extent that I'd really never felt before. Like I really, that's just not really an emotion that I had ever dealt with. Um, I really had a good life as a witness. I really love still all my witness friends and family. I don't have any uh, no bad blood between us, to use an unfortunate turn of phrase. But I felt like I couldn't be a part of this group. I couldn't be a part of this thing. Um, and I mentioned I was disfellowship for apostasy. Um, that's because I started posting stuff on YouTube. I didn't show my face at first because I knew that if I did, it could get found and I could get in trouble. Eventually, I felt like, you know what, I just need to reveal my face. Like I need to see whether or not my parents and my family and um, these people that have been my whole life, like, do they love me more than a YouTube video saying why I disagree with the religion for totally good faith reasons that I don't feel the need to push on anybody else? And so I got the answer to that question, which is no, yeah, they will definitely continue to be in the group and shun you. But that caused me a lot of anger um, and bitterness at first that I had to process. Um, that was really challenging. Um, and it was hard because I was also just legitimately going through some like bad health issues at the time. So there
Yeah.
was just a lot of like, bleh. Um, but there was also a lot of freedom in that too. Like the first thing I felt when I allowed myself to finally like read an article on npr.com about like stuff going on within Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, you know, not some crazy far out there blog somewhere. Like this is the news. When I finally did that and started deconstructing, the first thing I felt was, thank God this isn't true, because Jehovah's Witnesses are very focused on the end and doomsday and Armageddon. And just realizing like, oh my God, I don't have to actually worry about that. That's not really going to happen. Like I just didn't realize how much of a burden that had been on my shoulders until it was immediately lifted off.
Mm.
And so it was weirdly like, yes, on one hand, I'm really upset at the shunning aspect of it and just the fact of it, you know, not even, well, definitely mad at my parents to some degree. Like, why can't they see what they're doing is wrong? Why can't they put their love for me above their desire to follow the rules of this religion? But mostly I was just mad at the system itself that had created those conditions, because I knew that my parents and other family and friends were just following the rules. They were just doing what they felt they had to do, like I had done when I had shunned people, when I was a witness. So um, over as time went on and I was able to get therapy and get more perspective and distance from it, um, I've made a lot more peace with these things. And I'm able to kind of reflect on the good memories that I do have and value those as good memories, and try not to get that twisted with this thing that witnesses are forced to do when anyone decides to leave. Um, and it's, you know, it's kind of not them talking; it's the group talking, and so that's where I direct my ire. You know, is at the leadership and the policies, and I try not to direct at that at like members.
Yeah. Yeah, I was curious too, because you mentioned reading NPR for, like, the first time and being allowed to do so. What are some activities that you're able to do for the first time that you're like, "Man, this is amazing"? Because I assume you celebrated your first birthday at age 29?
Oh man, I think it was not until actually my 31st birthday that I had a party because I was in the hospital having surgery on my 30th
Yeah.
birthday. Totally sucked. Um, but yes, when I finally was able to have a party, that was great. And it was really nice because it was like my close friends put it on. They decorated it like kindergartner's birthday with like little dinosaur decorations and like party hats and stuff, because it was like a first birthday. So it was really fun. Um and so that really has been nice. Like especially as Christina has like deconstructed as well, getting to do stuff like celebrate Christmas, even though like that's, you know, it is, I suppose, just a holiday, but it isn't really, because like holidays are just nice. It's nice to be a part of a celebration that's happening with other people around the world, regardless of who they are, what they believe. It's just everybody for that day is on the same page and is following the same traditions because those traditions have taken on a larger meaning than whatever they originally intended.